So I'm just gonna put this out there. I have what you would call real diamonds. Can we put that into perspective for a second? Yeah. I've actually seen this argument online, and I don't think it's an argument of like real versus fake diamonds. In actuality, isn't it just lab versus mind? But let's get into it.
Lab diamond versus mine diamond. This will cost you about $8,000 and this will cost you about $47,000 for the exact same product.
A polished diamond happens in 3 steps. We map the diamond, find the inclusions, and come up with a plan.
Step 1 is mapping. We have to understand every nook and cranny of this beauty.
Stone. The truth I'm starting to believe now is it's because it's such an emotional purchase. You want to pick the most perfect ring for that most perfect person.
Hi, I'm Maria. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. This channel, we talk about everything fashion, a few reviews here and there, and of course, commentary. And let's get into it. So today we're going to be diving into the world, the sparkling, beautifully amazing, or pretty to look at least, world of diamonds. Well, specifically today, lab diamonds. And this is actually interesting because it came up in a conversation with my sister-in-law recently, and she was saying how there is a sentiment that lab diamonds are fake diamonds, and she was saying that she doesn't see it that way. And I was like, I don't see it that way either. I mean, they're the same carbon like element. But this isn't a new rhetoric. I had, in the past, in myself, I literally had to educate myself. And I guess that's really what I'm doing here today, educating you on what lab diamonds really are. Because the thing is, back in the day, I myself once upon a time said they were fake.
We use diamonds in the industry because when you're setting stones, they're the least likely to break. You can do a repair, you can heat the whole ring up with the torch, red hot, and the diamond won't change color, it won't explode, it won't crack, nothing will happen to it. They are just so practical for making exquisite, beautiful jewelry, and they look beautiful. Pros, exact same thing.
Lab diamonds are, I would say, like the new it girl when it comes to jewelry. They have been popping up a lot for a more sustainable, ethical way to get a diamond, obviously, and that's how I would say Gen Z and millennial are really being preached, the lab diamond movement right now. But what's the deal? What's the deal with lab diamonds? What are they? They are not the average gems. Obviously, diamonds are created under tons of pressure. Natural, like mined diamonds. Lab diamonds created in a controlled environment, a laboratory, right? I don't know if that's pretty self-explanatory, but that's kind of what it is, right? And they replicate the same natural processes that a diamond will go through in a laboratory. So the same type of pressure, that little cola rock that you would see pictures of, and then you get to the diamond in the middle. Yeah, the amount of work it takes, that's all of that is done in a laboratory somewhere. Lab diamonds. Makes sense. Pretty self-explanatory, but that's how it's done. So keep this in mind because I'm going to circle back to this. So what's the results? A stunning conflict-free diamond. Obviously, if you've seen the comparisons, it looks almost, to the human eye, maybe under like a microscope, you could tell some differences, I'm sure. But to the naked human eye, like you and me, just looking at it, you could not tell the difference. And that's what you get from this beautiful, created, lab-made diamond. So celebrities, obviously, influencers, definitely, and pretty much I feel the general public are kind of getting onto this trend right now. And like I said, it was a conversation that came up. I think that I've also seen myself. I'm on Reddit, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the social media. I would say I'm pretty much chronically online. So I see a lot of different communities and things like that. And I've definitely, because I just got married recently, and I got a lot of ads when it came to like diamonds and things like that. And I would say, if not, I would say probably like 50, maybe 60% of the ads that I got myself were maybe lab diamond ads. I did get local jeweler stuff, but I would say maybe 50, maybe 60% were ads from, lab diamond companies or newer companies that are kind of popping off right now. And obviously for good reason, right? It's cheaper. Big, huge point. And it's widely considered ethical, like I just mentioned. You could get it in tons of colors, in different settings, as with any other thing. So you have the variety you would get with diamonds. So you're getting diamonds for a cheaper price. So what's not to love? Well, let's get into that part, right? So of course, no diamond is perfect. Mine diamonds, we definitely know their thing. Like I mentioned earlier, one big thing, or one maybe like a societal thing, is that people still have the connotation of lab diamonds are fake diamonds. Now, obviously, all it takes is a Google search to educate yourself, but some people just have that ideal. So when it comes to resale values, you're not obviously gonna sell it for a mine diamond. It's just not gonna happen. And you know, I will be honest though, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think because the resale value is cheaper, more than likely you'll be able to sell it just because the price point is more affordable, in my opinion. But if you were thinking, oh, you know, maybe over time it would appreciate like a mine diamond, maybe, I don't know, in 10 years it could, but as of right now, it does not, obviously. So there is that. There's a societal, you know, aspect of it where people could say it's fake. And then it's like, okay, I paid thousands of dollars for you to call my ring fake. Not fun to hear. Again, I saw this on Reddit and I'll insert it so you can see. But that's just a valid argument that comes up when you bring up the conversation of lab diamonds right now. It doesn't really matter if you pay thousands of dollars for your ring or whatever, regardless. Even if it's lab diamond, whatever you choose, right? I think people will always have something to say on either side of it. If it's a lab diamond, right, the rhetoric is it's fake. And then if it's a regular mine diamond, then it's a blood diamond. So is there a win in there? No. But you choose what you want to do with. I guess that's what I would say when it comes to this, because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to deal with the conversations when it comes up. Right. We keep hearing that lab diamonds offer like a sustainable, eco-friendly way, or more sustainable way to have diamonds. It doesn't have any kind of like blood aspect to it. We've all seen blood diamonds. Like I mentioned earlier, right? They're created in an environment, a laboratory, to create the same conditions that mined diamonds have. So if we're creating the same conditions that mined diamonds have, how are we doing that? How are the labs run? And where are the diamonds made? Are we substituting one problem for the other? And that is exactly what anyone who's thought like, wait a minute, it probably takes a lot of energy to create this thing. And it does. Let's be real, it tracks. It takes a lot of energy to create a lab diamond. I can sit on a holier than thou mountain. I already told you this was just given to me. It was a gift, obviously, but it is not a lab diamond. I know that. I wanted to invest in some other pieces, and I thought, well, lab diamond could be the way to go. Thinking maybe, oh, it's way better, obviously. This is made in a lab. It's so sustainable, and it's so like what's the like, what am I missing if I don't take this opportunity? But lab diamonds, right? According to this article that came out from Fortune magazine, I don't think right now we are actually at like blood diamond level or anything like that. You know, obviously that was of like the bodies of black people in Africa. I don't think we're there yet, but I don't think that we might not get there eventually. In the aspect of maybe slave labor, or yeah, slave labor, super cheap labor. So eventually we might get there, but right now what is actually happening, the three major places they're based in would be India, China, and the US. So many of the companies that you would see a diamond from, or a lab diamond from, are based in India and China. 75% of the electricity in India, China too, comes from burning coal. In case you don't know, that is not a renewable resource. Those are just fossil fuel, hello? The words like sustainability, mentally friendly, you know, the more conscious way to get your diamond. I think this is all part of that greenwashing idea we've been hearing a lot of, where we might see companies that are like fast fashion, and then they'll say like, oh, we have like a sustainable line. Not saying it's not a sustainable line, but it's not really offsetting the non-sustainable aspects of the sustainability that they're creating. And even the nature of creating the sustainable line is still creating more. Like, so how is that, you know, when you really start to get down to it, how's that sustainable, right? all of this is pretty much kind of like another greenwashing, where we then find out after the facts, like, wait, it's really just slave labor, fossil fuels, coal. Great that it's not mined, and right now there is no evidence like, oh, it's slave labor or, you know, blood diamond level, but it's not sustainable. Like I said, when you read this article, I hope you actually do read the article, but when you read the article, if you really are sustainable, if you're really doing what you say you're doing, it's not that crazy to prove it or back it up. And so if most of the companies are staying silent and not actually showing up their report, and they don't want to give it up and they don't want to say what it is, it leads you to believe that it may not have as sound practices as we think they do, as this sounds like they do. Obviously, most of the companies are companies sold or targeted towards the US market, or maybe I would say more the Western world. The Western world obviously have sold on this idea of diamonds in general. I mean, I think, to be honest, all around the world, it was a marketing scheme that really worked. Let's be real. It really worked. I love it. I love it. It's sparkly. It's really pretty. I'm not gonna lie. It worked. The fact of the matter is, I still think a lot of people still want to have some kind of like a diamond piece and stuff. Some people don't. That's great for you. But again, figure out where your gems and stuff come from, because it may not be as sustainable as all of the greenwashing that is really present in a lot of marketing for companies nowadays, right? So a lot of companies are sold and marketed towards the audience in America, in the UK, in Canada, and all of those type of countries, right? For the most part. But the work is being done again in India and China. So the article mentioned there was a US company, VRAI, which did report that it takes about 1/10 of the energy of a mined diamond to make a labbed diamond. So for 10 lab diamonds equals 1 mined diamond. At least that's the equation that we're getting. I think that kind of puts it in perspective, that the amount of energy that it actually takes. And the fact of the matter is, we don't really know the practices, the sustainability practices, the methodologies, whatever you want to call it, that actually a lot of these labs run, and how they actually get the diamonds out to the consumer, you and me. Now, some US companies have been reported to using renewable resources. We don't know which ones, but they have. And some do the typical thing where they have carbon credits. That's what they call it. They pay for plants to be planted in substitution for their carbon emission. So there's this thing called carbon credits. You should look into it. Carbon credits is pretty much a way for big corporations to get out of being sustainable. They just pay for plants to be planted somewhere. Does the plant get planted? We don't know, maybe. But is it really sustainable? Absolutely not. It's not. Maybe it's like the whole like landscape architect in me, or like the urban planner, whatever. Maybe it's just the fact that like for the plant that you're putting there isn't really giving me breathable air right now, or really solving the problem that you're creating right now. It's supposedly, maybe, yes, don't get me wrong, planting trees is great. We should plant more trees. We should also not deforest, but that's a different conversation in general. I don't want to like get off topic, let's be real. Planting credits, as you can tell, not my vibe. I don't think it's really sustainable. It's just a way for them to get around and still use energy and still say, oh, we planted 10 trees. Yay, us. So yes, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about that. Yeah, because it's not real, really. Okay, if that's really the landscape, I would say, of lab diamonds right now, we need to know more. I don't know, honestly, when I will get a piece of jewelry. I just thought about it because I was like, oh, it would be nice to get another piece of like a diamond earring or something, and maybe labbed diamond would be nice. But I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on this. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to see like, okay, are there better there has to be, like we just said, some use renewable resources, right? So there has to be some companies out there that actually have some practices, the practices that they preach, right? There has to be some companies that do that. I believe it. I'm not like, oh, everyone is doomed and we're all going to hell. I do think there are some people out there who are obviously doing what they're saying they're doing, It might be more pricey than some of the companies that maybe are cheaper in labor. Obviously. So in my other video, I talk about the rise of the luxury gray market. And I think we are seeing a lot of like alternatives, obviously, because like I said, the times we're in, but just in general, I think people want to find better ways to do what they've always done. Like that's just, and I don't know if that's just like human nature. We always want it to be better, but we always want better ways or a different way to think, the way that things have always been done. And the fact that we're like all moving towards like this consciousness of like sustainability, which is amazing. I think it echoes a lot of our concerns for the environment. I'd really love to know what your take on lab diamond is. Are they fake? Are they fake to you? Just do you actually see them as a sustainable alternative to mined diamond?